Welcome to our third episode of Impact Design. I'm very pleased to interview Sara Martinsen, a Danish designer from Copenhagen, who has been intrigued by natural sustainable materials and their beauty. We interview her in her exhibition that's right now in Copenhagen, Phytophilia. Welcome, Sara Martinsen.
Thank you, Yasmin. I'm very pleased to be part of this. My name is Sara, and I was educated 12 years ago to be a furniture designer here in Denmark at the Danish Design School. 12 years ago also means that the sustainability way of thinking was not part of my education. So for the last 2-3 years, I more and more tried to go in this direction, but also found myself in the lack of knowledge about the sustainable possibilities. This is the main reason why I chose to invest time in gaining knowledge about plant fibers. And as an extension to keeping the knowledge to myself, I wanted very much to share this knowledge with the design business in general, but also with everyone else, ordinary consumers who want to gain knowledge about this subject. So Phytophilia is an exhibition about plant fibers. And I've been lucky to be included in this A. Petersen gallery space in Copenhagen, a very beautiful and very interesting space. So yeah, and this is where I'm situated now, so I can show you all the materials included.
Thank you very much. And yeah, it's very nice that we can actually have the interview while you are in the gallery space of Phytophilia. And it's a unique opportunity to show us maybe once around the exhibition, if you can do this. And then I would love you to share your specific materials you developed and where they come from and how you treated them and what's the uniqueness about them. But I would say let's just start maybe with a slow kind of walk through your gallery space.
Yes, absolutely. I can pan around slowly so it will not be too busy on the screen. So starting here, just have a good distance here. And this is the starting point of the exhibition here. In order to show visitors the different steps. This wall was actually intended for photos for me to visit different crop sites and factories in India. But due to COVID, I had to stay at home. So instead I made this herbarium, a collection of dried plants collected by many different people all over the world and being digitalized. I was able to print them in real size. And here there's the facts written for all the plants. So you can gain the knowledge about, here you have the date palm. And then afterwards you can experience the date palm fiber over here. Yeah. And then from there you see the fiber being degummed, meaning that you break down the cellulose in all these plant fibers. And you do that with either heat, enzyme, or chemistry and bleach. It varies from each fiber how much is used and how the process is. And then from there, this is ready to make yarn for spinning and then into fabric over here. Some of the fibers included on this exhibition are not meant to be processed into fabric. So some of these fibers will not be up here or over here. Instead, they will be as finalized building materials for architecture, for insulation. Here you have the hemp insulation blocks. And over here you have kenaf, a pile of kinaf tiles that are very, very soft. And if I go with a distance, will actually be able to see. It's also very bouncy.
I can see.
And this is used in the car industry for insulation.
Beautiful.
And this you can use in your walls as well.
And probably it has acoustic qualities.
Oh, a lot, yes. And it's a great alternative to the glass fiber we put in the stone insulation we put inside our walls at this in modern buildings, because this is just, it's 100% plant fiber. It's soft. It doesn't go into my skin or my lungs when I work with it.
Doesn't create
it's a fantastic, very kind. Yes.
Very interesting. So maybe shall we walk to the other side a bit? Do you want to maybe point out a few of the materials and where they're coming from? You were talking to me before about the milk and cotton material. That would be really interesting to have a look at and see how it's developed.
Absolutely. I have one fiber included in this exhibition that is not a plant fiber. And the reason I chose to include it is because it's often mixed with plant fibers. So here is the milk casein, which is the protein of the milk. You can extract a fiber from this. So if you have a pot of hot milk at home, you can put acid, for example, normal vinegar in your pot, and the milk will divide in two. You'll have this yellow kind of liquid, and then you have this cottage cheese kind of texture. And this is the milk casein. And from here you can have this very beautiful fiber. And it's often mixed with plant fibers. Here I have an example on my textile sample wall here. This one here, let me check the camera. Yes. This one here is 60% milk and 40% corn fiber. It has this shiny texture. It's very beautiful.
Very beautiful. And I imagine this could be used for curtains in private, in hotels.
Absolutely. This one up here is 50% milk and 50% cotton. And if I show it like this, you can see the light coming through the fabric very nicely.
Very
there is an interesting discussion though about the milk, the whole dairy industry. It will for sure change the coming years due to the large amount of CO2 coming from the cattle farming industry. So of course we have to debate whether it's a good thing to use the leftovers from the milk industry or whether we should find new ways. I don't have the answers for this, and I'm definitely not pointing fingers at this exhibition. I'm just telling the pure facts, so it's easier to make up your own mind in what kind of direction you want to go as a designer or as a consumer.
Very good. That's very. Thank you so much for showing around. I think it gives a very good idea of what you are able to do with, materials that are not so obvious and not the common ones that are used, especially in the design industry. Which is what excites us so much as, researching and having found you and hoping to collaborate with you. What inspired you to look into these kind of unconventional plant fibers? I would be very keen on finding out.
Yeah. Well, first of all, when researching sustainable materials, I very quickly found myself in lack of knowledge. I would reach out to the companies or fellow design colleagues, and at some point the full circle, it wouldn't be full. I would have, like, if I was lucky, I would have 75% of the knowledge. I would never have the full circle story from farming to processing to transport to the actual manufacturing processes. It was very difficult to gain this kind of knowledge. So I decided to start from scratch, from zero, and collect my own materials. And this was much more difficult than I expected, because this kind of industry is massive. So they always deal with container volume. So when someone like me contact them and ask for this amount of bundles, they just laughed at me, and no one actually wanted to invest time in sending me these materials. So I spent more than 6 months trying to gather all this, having many no thank you messages in my inbox, or nothing at all, just quiet from people.
But that sometimes pushes one to do it anyway, or to really go into that.
Yes, but what helped me was the second I received 2 bundles in a box here in Copenhagen, I just fell completely in love, because they're so beautiful. Yeah, so that kept me saying, okay, I really need to do this, because both as a designer, but even more as a consumer, it's very much a jungle to research these kind of materials. And there's either the very intellectual discussion about how we deal with the environment, and then there's the sort of reaction where you just go completely passive, and you can't deal with it. It's just too much information, and you have no idea how to change anything. So, but my reaction to having this in my hands is very much that everything comes closer to me. Then I can use my senses. I can use my common sense. Yes. And then it just becomes so much more tangible and easier to navigate in this huge problem that seems so overwhelming. But it's so much easier when you actually have the materials up close.
No, it's very beautiful. So what was your intention with the exhibition Phytophilia? I mean, what did you, there's a certain arrangement where you really show where the raw material is and what you made out of it. So what is your message, would you say, to the visitors who came? And I understood you had, before the lockdown, is just very new in Copenhagen, enormous amount of visitors that were fascinated by the uniqueness they saw, and to see something they probably haven't seen before in such a way.
Well, the main key is definitely sharing knowledge, because this is the catalyst for the conversations we need to have. Not pointing fingers, just pure facts. This is a good starting point, and then from there you can have it will point in 3 directions. There's the responsibility of the industry, then there's the responsibility of us as consumers, and then there's the responsibility of the politicians. And all these 3 legs, they sort of have to come together, and we can't have this debate or this discussion if you don't have the facts laid in front of us. And I don't know, my way to work is of course very material based, because I am a designer, but I'm very convinced that this talks to many more people than architects or designers. It's like the common consumers. They need to see the materials in order to understand what is going on.
How so my next question would be, where would you see it applied? I mean, starting from architecture and design, and then maybe going into other areas, and how difficult do you see the process of turning it into a commercial product?
Well, if we take the architecture and the building industry, my husband and I, we built our own house starting 6 years ago, and we researched a lot of materials, and it was not very transparent, not the prices, the delivery time, the fact sheets, if they lived up to the building standards in Denmark, and this changed a lot just during the last year. So that's what we can see anyway. So if I started building a house today, I would definitely have a more positive way of finding the necessary information about the materials. So I feel it's much more realistic now to implement these kind of materials in your buildings. This is extremely positive. I still can't go to my standard company where I buy my building materials and ask for sustainable materials, but there's new companies popping up, allowing me to buy directly from them, and this is extremely important. Mm-hmm. Of course, you can't. I mean, when building a house, you need to keep the budget, right? So the prices, the information about price is so important. You need that firsthand, and this is happening now. So I see a very positive image of or response in the industry towards sustainable building materials.
And did you see some of the manufacturers and the suppliers that said no to you more? There's more interest now that you have started the process, and you have some that agreed to, to send you the fibers and explore, the potential of the material.
Everyone I contacted, they were extremely positive and willing to be included in this exhibition. And some of the materials I was expecting only to find in Asia, but actually the pile of Kinaf insulation over here, I found in Italy. So this is an Italian company. But I don't think they're not used to being contacted by a private person like me. So it was a bit difficult for them to sort of to know what was my intention when I wanted to include their material here, because they're selling to the car industry normally in large volumes. So to have a pile like this, they were like, it was a bit abstract for them, but I mean, people here visiting the exhibition is very much interested in this, because it's so easy to understand. You can touch it, you can say, okay, I definitely want this inside my walls. Yes. Instead of an image or a website where it's like you have this distance again, it's kind of a barrier, and then it's easier to choose the standard material,
Well, and it's all about health. Now, as I understand, it's about protecting us and not having more toxins in our environment that are going to cause a lot of the disease and that we have today in our society. I mean, that's what interested me, in exploring materials. And I think it's a fantastic example that if you do your research, you can find something that is replacing the common building materials that we know are harmful, but we don't have alternatives, or we are not even aware that there are alternatives. And I think this is brilliant to show that we look into nature and we find these amazing, possibilities to apply.
Yeah, absolutely. It's right outside our door. And another wonderful thing happened when you sort of share knowledge and open the doors is that people come here and they also share their knowledge. So there was one of the first days at this exhibition, there was a older gentleman who he's been working as an architect for many, many years, and he has a summer house in Sweden, which he had for 25 years, I think. So he recently renovated it, and he changed all the normal rock wool, what you call a glass fiber in English.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. He changed all this from his walls into panels like this, but not the Kinaf quality like here. Instead he used flax inside his walls, and this resulted in all the mice that would normally live inside his walls, they disappeared. This is like super interesting, because then when he sort of asked all the people around his summer house, they're like, but this is like common knowledge in Sweden and Finland, that if you insulate your walls with plant fibers, the mice will stay away.
Well, this is what we need in London, where there's a huge mice problem. Absolutely. That is very interesting.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, I've never been told this in the design school, and I'm pretty sure the students at the architectural school are not informed about this either. So this is like old knowledge that has not been passed down to new generations,
Yeah.
which is of course extremely important.
Yes, absolutely fantastic. If you would say like 3 concrete applications in interior design and architecture, you mentioned one, but just to make it very tangible, what would you say that any of the materials you're showing in the exhibition you can really use for?
It's definitely the kenaf fiber. It's very interesting. It's a very long and strong, beautiful, shiny fiber. This can be used in many possibilities. And then, of course, the industrial hemp, because this is just a sturdy plant. You don't use any toxic. You don't need much water. It's an extremely fantastic fiber, and it's only the last 5-10 years that it's coming back to the industry, and I guess it's because of the normal hemp that it's just been classified as a illegal plant.
Yeah.
But now the restrictions are not there anymore, and you can have a beautiful material like this. And I mean, you get what you see. It's just uh, a dry hemp thing, and then it's mixed with chalk. That's it. And when you put it inside your wall construction, you can use cladding like the wood cladding on the exterior facade, and on the interior you just put this paste, and then you'll have a house with where you can breathe. Actually, this material will take in moist and breathe all the time. And this is a fantastic example of applying plant fibers to architecture and interior.
Yeah, very useful to know, because I think it will be able to replace a lot of the common materials. When we go into furniture design or interior design, what we're talking about fabrics, which I find really very interesting.
Yes.
What would be some possible applications, or maybe even for the hospitality industry, if you have any ideas?
Well, it's always extremely interesting to look into times where we had less money, because that's where you had to invent what you had right in front of you, right? And here both the hemp, industrial hemp, and the flax is extremely interesting. I think for interior design, much more development will happen with the hemp. It's already happened with the flax, and now it's the hemp turn to sort of help the hotels, for example, to become more sustainable. This is 100% hemp, and it's dyed with it's not a plant fiber. This is like normal industry color, in order to stay gray, because the plant fiber dye will vanish over time. But this means that you have a sustainable fabric for bedding, for curtains, and it will because of it's so much stronger than cotton, it will it can manage the hard industry, washing machines and all this that they use in the hotel business.
So it's much more durable than normal cotton.
Yes, it is.
Well, I think that's a big advantage, because functionality in the hospitality, where there's a lot of use on a daily basis, is very important. We have to always design in combining aesthetics and functionality, and I think that's another plus probably for the materials you're showing. And we have looked into hemp seed and hemp fabric before, and it's like you said, it's a really new thing, and I hope we can explore more and get this out in the industry. So I found it fascinating to look at all what you have shown in the exhibition, and I think, I hope everybody will be inspired by, what can be done if you do more research and if you are in the true sense of sustainability, not just using the words, but looking into what is there really out there, which we have lost our view on. And like you said, it's sometimes so close to us. And when there were more simple times in our, in human life, people were more connected to natural materials. And there's this urge now to go back to it, to have authentic materials, which are not going to harm us, but are going to, to enhance our life. And I find it, it's coming really fantastically through your exhibition. So well done. I think I'm really sad I couldn't visit it myself, which I would have loved to have an opportunity to go to Copenhagen, but at least we get a glimpse of what you've done. My last question would be like, what is the impact you would like to have in your industry and design? What is it?
Well, of course, we need to use more sustainable materials. So it is so extremely important that we share the knowledge. I know I have design colleagues looking for alternatives to the normal pure foam we use inside the couches, sofas, and all this kind of messy industry. And if I come across a material where it's like, this is a good alternative or good option, it's important that I don't keep it to myself. We don't have time for this. So this open source kind of mentality is so important if we need to move this industry towards a more sustainable way of thinking. And therefore I've also decided that I will turn this exhibition into a digital book, meaning that I can always add new fibers that I come across, and everyone can enter, reading all the facts about each plant, and also comment, because I'm not a scientist. I'm sort of stepping into this field of work as everyone else would do. So I certainly also will make some facts where I need to be corrected, but this is the starting point, and it needs to be done, in my opinion.
Thank you so much. I think it's a great cause. And is there anything you would like to add at the end, as we're coming to the end of the interview?
Yes, maybe I'll explain two materials that I think are extremely relevant. A good example. It's like I have it myself. I have this bamboo fabric in my drawer at home. It's bamboo. It's a bamboo shirt. Mm-hmm. And I was told that this kind of textile is very sustainable. And then I looked into it, of course, during this exhibition. And then I read about the bamboo, and I have it here in my hand. And it has a sustainable reputation because it's a fast-growing and very strong plant. And it should be used for architecture, for scaffolding, for flooring, for furniture. But this is not. When you look at a table like this, there's so many other fibers being more relevant to turn into fabric than bamboo. Because when you know the procedure that you have to, in order to make this into fabric, you have to soften and break down the cellulose in a fiber that is this sturdy and hard. Mm-hmm. You can, again, stand here, look at the bamboo, look over here where the bamboo is exhibited, and use your common sense and say there has to be a lot of either energy or chemistry used in this process. And this is an extremely low kind of way of showing this, but it's important. And the same goes with the soy here. If I stand inside a fashion store, I'm told on the label on a soy textile that this is a byproduct, a waste product from the soy industry. Mm-hmm. Which it is. But we all have smartphones, right? So we can use 30 seconds, look it up, and it will very quickly tell us that the soy industry is maybe the most harmful industry in the world, deforesting, monoculture, everything. And we need to debate whether we as designers want to take this kind of byproduct and turn it into consumer products, or whether we should leave it alone. Because it's over here. I can take you over here. It's extremely soft. It's like cashmere. So if I'm in the store and I'm told this is a waste product, and I feel that it's soft as cashmere, I would buy it. I mean, of course I would. But investing 30 minutes or maybe 1 minute on my smartphone would tell me maybe I shouldn't. And this is important, right? It really is. So this is just two materials where I wanted to sort of show how low key it actually becomes when you can stand here with the materials in your hands.
That's really interesting, because I'm sure that many, as including myself, didn't know about that, and that it's so important to look into it and what it does really mean, to be sustainable. And when we talk about sustainability, it's the process of creating the product, that we also have to consider, because if we, by the same token, design furniture or materials that are actually in the production are going to harm the environment, then it's like, it's kind of canceling it out, the advantage that we have. So I think it was really interesting to get the awareness and see that these plant fibers are maybe something that are very much to be discovered now and to be used in more quantities, as they represent truly sustainability. And I think that's it's, at least for me, also something that I wasn't really aware of. And I thank you so much for making that point. Well, thank you so much for being available, showing the beautiful space of your exhibition. And we are all very keen then to find out about your digital collection, which would be, once we know it, we would like to tell everybody about it, because I think that would make it easier to see what you have discovered, what can be done with it, and to be in a useful way to use it in our design work, and many other, hopefully, designers and architects will pick up on that. Thank you very much. Good luck on your continuous research. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for watching our new episode. I hope you enjoyed as much as myself the interview with Sara in her amazing exhibition in Copenhagen, Phytophilia, and all the insights into sustainable materials that she has experimented with. Thanks, and see you next week for our next episode.